Welcome back to Red Hawk Media. This is part 4 of our multi-part series for web design. Today we're going to be looking at how to kind of plan out the coding for our websites. We've previously created our websites in Photoshop, so your website may look something like this. Let me go up, open mine up here. And that's what I've got right now. It's kind of the bare bones website at this point. I've got all the major components that I want on there, and I want to be able to edit. I'll be adding in text, of course, and other images and things like that, but I'll do that from the Dreamweaver side. For now, though, I've got a graphic representation of my website. I can start planning out my code for this that I'd enter in Dreamweaver. Let's get started here. To begin with, to make life a little bit easier here for the planning, I'm actually going to make kind of an image map of what everything is and where it goes. So a good step here is I'm going to go ahead and hit Command-Shift-4, and I'm going to get a screenshot of my entire website. We did this at the beginning of the process when we were imitating our websites here. So I've got my screenshot, and I'm going to go ahead and open up Pages here so I can just drop that into a blank document. And let's drag that over here, get my screenshot, and drop that in. And I'm not worried about the size right now. I just want to have some space or enough room to write on and plan everything out. I'm going to leave a little bit of a margin here so things don't get cut off. And from here, I'm just going to go up to File, and I'm going to print this. Now, for people that are in my class, make sure you choose the IP address ending in 40. Do not print it to the lab upstairs or anything. For those of you at home working on your own projects, print it to your normal printer. I'm going to go ahead and hit print. Now, with this drawing here, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up planning out the rest of my website. One of the ways I can go about doing this is planning for all of the divs that are going to go in. Now, according to W3 Schools here, let's take a look at that really quick. We've got the div tag, which is a very common division tag used for dividing up everything. This example right here is a good example of how they use the div tag. This is for style, but it's a divider. In this division, it has the heading 3, and of course it has the paragraph as well. So we've got that all put together. Now that I've finished planning out my my div tags onto my printed copy, I want to move over to Dreamweaver, and I want to actually start getting this typed out. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Dreamweaver. And at this point, if we've been saving our websites to a connected drive that's on the server. If you have not connected to the drive yet, make sure that you do so that your sites actually show up over here. We saved all of those to that external drive that's on the server, so it's got to be connected for it to be showing up over here. So now, at this point, I can go ahead and close the welcome screen. I want to make sure that my information is up over here. It should say the name of my website, and then of course, so far all we've got is our images folder. Right? You should have a number of images that are actually in your folder with your background, navigation bar, and any other things that you have created in your Photoshop document. They should now be in here as JPEGs and PNGs. Our next step here is we're going to go ahead and we're going to start a new HTML file. So I'm going to go up to File, and I'm going to go to New. And of the page type, I want to go with HTML. And I'm going to go ahead and start that. I should also make sure that it says blank page over here because we're going to actually create our own page from scratch here. So I'm going to make sure the layout is none, and I click Create. Now, prior to this, we had been typing in Notepad and TextEdit for all of our websites. And of course, that had it all set up so that we had to type everything in from scratch. Now, Dreamweaver does a lot of the heavy lifting for us, and that's kind of the nice part of all this. We've already got our document type laid out. We've got our HTML tags in here. We've got the head tags, the title tags. In fact, we can go ahead and start there with the title tag. We know the name of our site already because we named our root folder that roughly. This is of course, the name that will be visible on the tab of your browser anytime you bring up this website. So I'm going to say, because I'm redoing the Red Hawk Media site, I'm just going to say Red Hawk Media. And that's all set. Now, we're going to move down to the body. We're going to give ourselves a little bit of room to work with here. And now we're going to start planning out our div tags. Now I had an overall div tag that kind of covered everything, so I'm going to start there. So I'm going to go ahead and put in div, and of course I got to close my div. Now these are the big ones that I'm going to be working in, so I'm going to space these out. Okay, and this is going to have everything that's on the site, on the page, in this division tag. Remember, I told you to think about it as like a box that's within a box that's within another box kind of thing. And you're going to just keep unpacking these as you go. So this is our big box right now, right? And I'm going to give each of these a class name so that I can identify them. And I'm going to call this one overall wrap. Now, the naming convention that I'm using is called camel or the hump or whatever you want to call it. It's basically lowercase in the front, and then where there's a new word that starts in the middle, I capitalize that, and that's my only cap that's in there. You can use your own naming conventions, do however you want, all lowercase, no spaces, using underscores. You can do a number of different things as long as you can identify the division class. So now I've got that division class all set up. This is everything that's on my website. I'm going to start moving from there to the different parts that I've laid out. So I want to go ahead and get a new div tag in here. And this one I'm going to call header. I'm going to go ahead and close that up. Okay, and then I'm going to move on to my other ones. From here I want to move on to my content. This is the big white box that I had on mine, where I'd be putting everything in there. Let's see here, content. Now I'm making up these names. You can label them whatever you want as long as you can identify them from the beginning. Okay, and from the content, the last one that I'll probably have in here for now, I'm going to add in more into these, is the footer. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and close that one out. Okay, so I'm all set up. Now, before I go any further, I should probably start organizing this a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight all this, and I'm going to tab it over one here. Now I'm going to take all of the things that are inside, all the elements that are inside that big division, the overall wrap, and I'm going to bump those over. Okay, and then let's go ahead and space each one of these out a little bit so we've got more room to work. So I go ahead and break those up so I can see everything at work. Now, I've got a navigation bar that's actually going to be inside of the header, so I'm going to start there, and I'm going to start a new div tag there. Okay, and this one I'm going to call navigation. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and close my tag here, and then I'm going to close my div tag for the navigation. You can see how that's all laid out there. So it's a box within a box within another box. So I'm going to go ahead and tab this one over here, and that's how I'm going to organize each of these. I'm going to put some spaces in here just to spread it out so everything's nicely organized here. Okay, and I'm all set up there. Now my content, chances are I'm going to have a div tag that's going to be in here too, and that might be my text. And I close that, close my div tag. There we go. And actually, we're going to move this div tag here to the other side of all that now. So let's go ahead and break a line in there. And I can back it up to my tab. Close that div. There we go. We're slowly but surely getting this all laid out. Nothing to see yet in any of it, but you get the idea of how we're going to organize all of it. Okay. Now, step by step, I want you to go through and create these div tags, label all of them according to what they are in your website. You're probably going to have like 6 or 7 different div tags that you'll have different classes for. Keep all of the class names unique and different, and be consistent with your naming conventions. Okay. At this point, we want to save our progress here, which is going to be an important step. So I go to File and Save As. And in here, I want to save my website to my root folder, which is the new RHMT. So I'm going to go ahead and get to that folder here, which is this one right here, and I'm going to just save it in here. Now, home pages generally are called index. Okay, so I'm going to use that as my name for my home page. Not home page, not the name of the page or anything like that, just index. That's kind of a default name for your home page. I want to make sure that it's a .html, and then I go ahead and click Save. So now I can see my index page has been added on to my website. And notice it's in the root folder. It's not in any other folder besides that. So I want to make sure that that's consistent here. All right, outstanding. That has been the next episode here of Red Hawk Media, and we'll be looking at part 5, moving from the div tags into creating the CSS that goes along with that. Thank you for joining us.